Hi everybody! Have you ever sowed tomato seeds and ended up with leggy tomato seedlings? Pretty long-legged tomatoes here. And so I need to pot these up, but I'm going to show you how you correct that with tomatoes. It's very easy. So let's get started. I'm going to once again use my trusty little landscape staple to remove these from each cell. And I'm actually going to do, let's see, which one looks the leggiest here. Got some pretty leggy ones. I'll do this one right here. You can see it right there. He's pretty leggy. So let's get this one out. Okay, squeeze that one a little bit harder so it didn't come out fully, but that's okay. It didn't damage any roots. So let's go with this one. Excuse me. So, whoops. So we're going to put this into our pot, but what I want to show you is on a tomato plant, I don't know if you can see this up close or not, but there are a lot of little hairs. If you look at the stem of a tomato plant, there are a lot of little furry looking hairs on it. That is where all the roots will grow. So you can bury that stem and roots will grow off of that stem on a tomato plant. That's how they work. So that's what we're going to do. When you have leggy ones, you just bury that root a little bit deeper so that the stem is buried, and then you won't have leggy plants anymore. So here we go. So I am burying this one pretty deep because I want to encourage that stem to get stronger, not taller. And so I want roots to grow pretty high up on that stem. So you saw what it looked like before. There's how tall it is now. Much shorter looking, but it's going to result in a much stronger plant. And it's as easy as that. Another thing I want to share with you is in regards to when you have two tomato seedlings coming up in one cell, how you handle it. So on many other plants, I actually pinch, when they're smaller, I pinch the weaker one out so that I have one growing in a cell and it can grow stronger. But I happened to see a video put on by Growing a Greener World, and it's an older one. And it was a gentleman who grew tomatoes, lots and lots of varieties of tomatoes. He had been doing it for many, many years. He knew what he was doing, so I trusted his opinion. He actually uses an entire tray without these individual cells and just heavily seeds his tomatoes. And then he separates them. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not pinching any of these out where there are two in a cell. I'm going to separate them so I have two plants, which actually works for me because I have one cell here that doesn't have anything in it, nothing germinated in it. So I don't want to lose out on tomatoes by pinching when I can separate them. And if it doesn't work, okay, no harm, no foul. If it does, all the better. I'll have as many tomato plants as I want. So here, let's work on that. Again, I'm going to use my landscape staple to remove this from the cell. And just to make it a little easier for me, I should have done this last time, I'm going to remove this bottom tray, move that out of the way, so I have a little more flexibility here. I'm going to go in here to the bottom, and I'm going to pull it up. So there you go. So you can see I have two here, and I am going to very gingerly separate these. They almost look like they came from one seed, but that would be surprising if that happened. So let's see what we can do. And just slowly pulling these apart. All right, there we go. I have two seedlings. And now I can plant those two seedlings just like I did the other one, because they are a little leggy, one more than the other. And so I will plant them deep so that the roots will grow out of the stems up here, and it will become a much stronger seedling. In the high desert, we have a lot of strong winds in the spring particularly. I want to train my plants that I'm going to be putting in my garden to be used to wind. And this is really good for everybody. No, it doesn't matter where you live. So I set up a little fan that I have plugged into a timer, and it's the same timer that I have my grow lights on, and I put it on low, and I have it blowing on all of my little seedlings. So those tomatoes will get stronger because they're getting used to wind. So it's just another way of acclimating them to the outdoors without putting them outdoors. And I will need to do that too at some point in time. I don't just put them right outdoors. But this is another good tip to make your plants even stronger. I've come outside to share my last tip with you. So in a couple of weeks or so, we will hit our average last frost date here in the high desert in zone 7B. And even though the temperatures may be fine to plant outside, plant my tomatoes outside, my peppers outside, I will watch the weather, because our winds can sometimes continue for quite a while. And I have learned over the years that just because the temperatures are okay doesn't mean your plants will be safe in the winds. So don't get ahead of yourself, particularly if you are somewhere where you have high winds in the spring, and just wait to plant them outside. If you have room in your garage under your grow lights, keep growing them there and watch the weather, because I have had some very disappointing years early on when we first moved here and I didn't know any better. And of course, several years under my belt, I'm a lot more wise about this area and the weather. And so I don't just get too excited about planting my vegetables outside, particularly my peppers and my tomatoes outside in my garden, until I know they can handle the winds. So there's my tips for you for leggy tomato seedlings and how to handle those, and how to handle them after they've grown a little bit more too, and how not to handle them. I hope this has been very informative for you, and if it has, leave me a comment and share your tips if you have any great ones. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and we can follow along together. Thanks for watching and have a great day.